What is up, everybody? Welcome back to MLB Swing for the Fences here on Christmas Eve. It's Wednesday, September 4th. NFL season officially kicks off tomorrow, Ravens and Chiefs. And we feel like we've opened up, or I've opened up a lot of these baseball shows with a little NFL talk. And man, it's not that, I'm not into baseball anymore. It's we're human. It's awfully hard not to get excited about NFL season. And frankly, with all the best ball stuff, getting ready for NFL season is kind of a lot more, I don't know if you want to call it work, but busier than it used to be, right? Where you're dialing in the projections for week one and all that stuff is one thing. But what'd you say? You did 50 drafters, best ball drafts yesterday, woke up early, drafted all day long, 5 at once. It's a lot. And then, you throw on baseball on top of it. And it's a busy time of year for sure. How you doing, man, going on this, the day before football, we made it.
Yeah, I'm definitely not going to fake it, DC. I'm over MLB, but it's okay. Yeah, you could fake it. I'm not. I'm ready for football. We have such fun.
I'm still playing the same volume every night and putting in the work. And, I won a tournament last week, or big tournament last week. So I'm still in the streets, but it's I have to split my time to some degree between football and baseball. And, I'm working hard to get in shape, and I just running out of time a little bit, but I still do, get in those couple hours before baseball to prepare for these shows and these slates, and still trying to win. But I totally get where you're coming from too.
I'm with you. I've definitely been working on some behind the scenes stuff baseball wise, trying to make my lineups better. But yeah, I'm ready for football today. I'm definitely way excited for it to get to tomorrow so we can get the football season. Packers get that Brazil game on Friday, so that'll be another nice addition that we get a single slate Thursday and Friday, and then we get the college football on Saturday, and then it's going to be a great next 5 days or so. So I'm super excited for that. I can't wait. The drafts have been obviously, they're fun and all, but after a while you get sick of doing them. This is the most I've ever done this year. And it feels like a lot of people are kind of in that boat where they've done them a lot more this year for sure. Yeah. And I like how I handled everything. I think I did a good job for the most part. I think I attacked, some overlay. I feel like I have plus EV going in regardless of how things shake out. I have no regrets. If I don't get as much money back as I was hoping, I won't have any regrets about it. I think I did a good job. So, but I'm excited for NFL, and we'll have tons of content for you guys coming up tomorrow, I'm sure. So stay tuned for that.
I'm sure everybody feels like they're plus EV going into baseball season. If you don't, right? If you're my teams are all trash like that. That would be a problem, I think. So
I think the guy that drafted 95% Najee Harris, I think regardless of what he does, he's minus EV. I'm not saying Najee Harris will do bad this year because he will probably get opportunities under Arthur Smith, but I do not agree with that strategy. I think that strategy is absolutely absurd.
What I haven't seen many actual football takes. One of the reasons I'm so looking forward to this NFL season. Listen, I look forward to the NFL season every year, this time of year. But you do get to find out kind of early on, if a lot of doing hundreds of basketball drafts, which we've both done, it does force you to take some stands on some places. Obviously, building out the structure of each team matters a ton. If I had to guess, maybe you're a player who spreads it around a little bit on the player takes quite a bit and tries to build, properly structured teams, right? But I'm guessing you're not way overweight on you don't probably have a 77% owned Najee Harris in your running back pool. Would be my guess. It sounds like I have that right.
No, the biggest stands I have are I think Dortch and Dobbins. I think it's Dortch and Dobbins. Not Dortch and Dobbins. Dortch and Luke McCaffrey. I think those are the two. And then I have guys up top that I have big takes on, Devonta Smith, Drake London. I also always get the 10 through 12 pick. Do you have a spot you always get? I think that's everyone I feel always just gets the same thing. At least that's what I talk to everyone. They're like, oh, I always get stuck in this range. I'm telling you, I always am 10 to 12. It's always everything.
It is the worst spot to draft. It's not always the case, but drafting at the end of at the 1-2 turn, it's harder. There's no question about it. I was looking at my player exposures this morning. I'll probably do, I don't know, maybe 10 more DraftKings drafts. I mean, tomorrow, I'm just going to be drafting in DFS like all day long until the game starts, right? Like that's all I'll be doing. Yeah, but I did look at my DK exposures. Yeah, like I said, I'm probably 90 to 95% done with my total exposure on DraftKings. Obviously doing as much as I can get in tomorrow. But yeah, my 3 highest owned wide receivers are all Chicago Bears. Roma Duse, DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, in that order. Caleb Williams, my highest owned quarterback. And I've been on it, for a couple of months now, and I haven't moved, and nothing that's come out has made me, change those opinions at all. So I'm excited to see the Bears play. Really high on the Jags.
One thing, yeah, I'm big on Jags too. I'll give you that. One thing I'll give you about the Bears, I thought this was really interesting. They have like a lot of dome games on like the road. Like, so when I bet Caleb Williams for MVP, which I did bet, this is one thing I wanted to look at, and they get Houston and Indy on the road. They get Washington, which is obviously not, but Arizona on the road. Detroit, they always play on the road. San Francisco, which is in December, so that'll be a nicer game. And then Minnesota on the road. So they're going to have like more dome games like than normal. So that was one thing I thought could be really big for Caleb too with that electric offense.
I've been doing the DFS thing for a long time. And one of the things I'm most known for was being super, super, super into Patrick Mahomes his sophomore season after he got basically redshirted the freshman year. And that's how I feel about Caleb Williams. And obviously my exposures with the Bears passing game back that up. I think he's going to absolutely ball. And part of it is I actually just think that Caleb Williams is the closest talent to Patrick Mahomes that we've seen come into the NFL since Mahomes himself. I think they play the exact same way. And I think Williams has, frankly, better weapons than Mahomes has ever had outside of maybe this year. So, we obviously could talk about football for the whole show. Actually, maybe we should do that. We'll just skip baseball today and just talk about the NFL for an hour. I don't know. Probably half the crowd would be fine with that, but we won't do that today. Plenty of time to talk NFL. Have we announced our schedule for NFL? It feels like maybe we should have here like one day before the season, but has there been a public announcement of what we're doing for shows and all that? I know what we're doing, but I don't know. Have we announced that? Did I miss it?
I believe JSU was going to announce it on one of the best ball shows that they did. I think the one that's tomorrow. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think he's announced. I think JSU announced it on one of those, or he's gonna announce it on them. But I mean, if you want to tell people, I don't care. I mean, it doesn't matter. People are
we're doing. It's kind of changed, but we are going to do the 4-man booth premium show, right? Maybe there's a show tonight. Announcing the show. So I guess.
Okay, it'll be announced there then. Yeah, it'll be announced there.
Probably doesn't matter too much. Anyway, you and I will be on the Up to Lock show with AP and JT, right? The 4-man booth. We'll announce everything we're doing, NFL content, all that stuff. So really looking forward to that show, taking it all the way up to lock every Sunday, answering questions, obviously finishing out our own lineups. We'll move on from this after this question. I have some people clamoring for baseball. Relax. If you want to go somewhere else, whatever. I really don't care.
Are you really clamoring for Tyler McGill takes? Like, you want to hear about Tyler McGill today?
Whatever. I'm honestly just going to ignore it. You have a plan for your DFS play? I mean, that's one thing I've been thinking of. Obviously with best ball, it kind of makes you kind of lock in. You kind of had to decide that with best ball, right? Where did you want to allocate the time and the resources? What about DFS for NFL? Do you know kind of what you're going to do in general, showdown, main slate, that sort of thing? Have you decided on, a structure of your season, Mango?
Yeah, I have a general idea. I mean, I'm playing. I always play cash games in NFL, and I play them decently. And then I'm just going to MME more for sure. I'll have some single entry stuff, no doubt, but probably not as aggressive as I was. I'm definitely going to be more aggressive with the MME and probably more on FanDuel specifically. I just always like their contests over that Millie Maker, despite when they size it down a little bit more. Another thing too, these are like important notes that people might not know. I know it's been talked about in other places, but FanDuel has the bonus now. So like if you get 100 yards receiving or whatever,
Do they
all the
really?
bonuses.
I completely missed that. If that's true.
Yeah, a lot of people have. So so they have the bonus now. And if you're a lower stakes player, I mean, this is like this is a DK show, so I feel bad saying this, but they have like some they have some incentives in there as well built in. So go check that out if you want to. But I like DK and FanDuel, but I just like that one specific contest a lot just because I know, and everyone's different. I know like JBC, if you ask him this question, JBC would want to probably play on the contest that's like a $5 or $15. That's like super heavy. That like all the money's up top. Like I just like a little flatter structures. DK does provide those too. I just might have to hunt for them every year. It's like it changes. So maybe DK will have them too, and I'll hunt for them and I'll attack those. But I'm not going to attack like the millies as much. I think I'm going to attack like some of the better contests. Like I just like flatter structures. I always have and always will.
No, me too. I mean, that's why, MLB, my general plan is like 4 in the 250, right? It's a winnable tournament. I think 3 or 4 times. And just the millie stuff, it's fun to chase, but like you got to realize you can build.
Well, you chase it in the first week, right? Because it's $5 and it's not going to be a $5 every single week. That will change. And then you find contests that you like. Like you would love, I'm sure you played that power sweep. That power sweep on DK is always so much fun. It's like a huge 3 max contest. That's like $150 to join. So it adds up to $450 each week if you want to do that. And it's like $100K to first. Sometimes it's even more. So there's great contests all around. You just gotta like hunt for which one it is. Like I don't even know what they are yet. You'll know in like 2-3 weeks when they like start releasing the same things every single week.
Well,
but
the thing about NFL contests compared to any other DFS sport is how many options you have at every buy-in level, MME, single entry, 3 max, 5 max, 10 max, 20 max. Like baseball, there's a few tournaments, right? A few big tournaments. Like you got to kind of, you can't have a million different options. You kind of got to, pick which route you're going to go to, assuming you're not, just playing, blasting and everything. So NFL, you can, and I think it's important to, look at what you're playing, tailor your lineups to the entry fee size, how many people are in the contest. There's different ways to build for all that stuff. So, yeah.
Well, that's what I was doing. I was doing that in best ball, DC. Like one great example is like those $3 that they kept putting out over and over. I kept joining them. And if I joined them and I saw Rashee Rice at like a good pick, well, everyone who's picked, no one in this draft that like was in the $3 that opened on August 15th, no one has Rashee Rice at pick like 80, right? You know what I mean? Or wherever he was at. He wasn't at 80. But you get what I'm saying. Like knowing your contest and knowing the prize structure might change how you build out your teams as well. So that's definitely very important.
Yes. And like I said, we could go on, but we will get into baseball. We do got 10 games to talk about. Plenty of time to go through these. So let's jump into baseball as much as I would like to keep talking NFL. That's not what you're here for. We're getting it. So let's go to the baseball streets. Boston and the New York Mets. First game, 8 total in this one. Even odds. So pick them in the betting market more or less. 2 right-handed pitchers. Tanner Houck going for Boston. I don't think the best spot in the world for him here. He's cooled off a little bit as the season progressed. Still a reasonable option, I think, at 8,500. And then Tyler McGill for the Mets made his return from the IL, 3 starts ago or 3 appearances ago at least. Did pitch pretty well last time out. It was, though, against the White Sox. You got to pay attention to any pitcher. It's like, you pitched well against the White Sox. Doesn't really mean much of anything. And the answer is not really. So it kind of remains to be seen where he's at. I don't think I would be on him anyway here. And then the Red Sox bats, I do think makes some sense. McGill has given it up in general to hitters who swing from the left side. And obviously that's kind of the primary strength of Boston's lineup. So, I think Boston, the more interesting side for bats here, even though these teams are essentially priced the same. And I don't think I'm ending up on either of these pitchers. Mangone, what are you doing with Mets and Red Sox here?
Yeah, Tanner Houck and Tyler McGill, obviously the two guys out there. I don't hate Tanner Houck completely. I know we talked about how the Mets are striking out a little bit more against righties than they were in the past. I am definitely down to go with some Tanner Houck here. Tanner Houck seems like a good play. Tyler McGill, not so much. I don't like Tyler McGill. I know he's got upside and whatever, but Tyler McGill is definitely not going to be an option that I look to roster. The Mets, I don't think I can get behind them today. It's a big slate. I just think it's unnecessary. So no Mets for me. But I think I have to like Red Sox and Tanner Houck just because I know what his upside can be. And I know this Boston Red Sox lineup, which it's got Duran, Devers, Abreu, O'Neill, Yoshida, Casas, Wong, Valdez, and then Sogard at the bottom, who doesn't matter, but he's a punt at second base you could use if you need to. It's a strong lineup. So in tournaments, this has to be a good team for sure.
Yeah, in on the Red Sox here. They are my primary interest in this game. I don't think the Mets are crazy as a contrarian stack, but certainly do like the Red Sox quite a bit better. Brings us to the Rockies and the Braves. This one in Atlanta. Pretty much the same weather as yesterday, around 75 degrees, some winds blowing in. Going to be Bradley Blaylock going for the Rockies. I unfortunately did play him quite a bit in his last outing in Coors against Miami. I did not.
Yeah, I have a bone to pick with you on Bradley Blaylock. This is why.
Oh, okay. I can't wait for that.
This is what happened. So I'm with Uncle T the other day and Big T. We're having lunch together. We're all having a great time, and we're watching tennis, and all of a sudden Uncle T talks about how good that Marlins pitcher is going to be. Right? What was it? I forget who it was. Munoz, and he's like, "Oh, he's going to be great." And I said, "No, Blaylock's going to crush." And I was talking up Blaylock and how good he was. You and I just did the show, or whatever.
Okay.
And
you got into it too. Yeah.
we did a lunch bet. So I did a lunch bet with Uncle T. Heads up, my pitcher versus his. The best part about it is both pitchers went for negative. Like mine went -3 and his went -1. And I owe Uncle T lunch because of the Ponzi scheme of Bradley Blaylock. So I know he's playing the Braves, but Bradley Blaylock, you owe me lunch. I'm very upset by this.
That's the best when they both go negative. Someone's got to win. Did you take Uncle T out to lunch, or did you just Venmo him what a lunch would cost? Because if you took him out, I want to know where Uncle T wanted to go to settle this lunch bet.
I don't know because we never got to go out to lunch again because Uncle T didn't see me the rest of the time. We were supposed to golf the next day, and then there were complications with golfing where Big T had some other golf outing he had to go to, some charity event. So I don't know. I didn't get the chance to. So I still need to Venmo Uncle T. So that's a good reminder.
Big T, look at that. Big time of the year with his charity events, the celebrity life for large Anthony over there. The little man Mangone, he's stuck at home. Can't go to the charity golf event.
Big T's a local celebrity. Actually, let me tell you a story that Big T told me there. So this is actually funny. People will laugh at this. This is like local Big T celebrity story. So he told me I left my Yeti at his house and I was like complaining. I was like, maybe I left it on my car and I drove away or something. I have no idea. And he was like, that happened to me once with my laptop. Like it was on top of my car and I drove away and someone found it in the parking lot. And he's like, how did you they contacted him on Twitter. And they're like, how did you contact me? How did you know it was me? He's like, well, I opened it up and it was your Twitter and I follow you. What are the odds that Big T pulls out of wherever he was at and the laptop falls on the ground. They open it up and it's Big T's Twitter and it's his laptop. I didn't believe it. It was absolutely absurd. But
I'm kind of surprised the laptop wasn't busted from falling off the truck frame.
I think it was partially busted or something where it wasn't in great shape anymore, but he was able to open it up and see on the screen that it was his Twitter and he DM'd him from his Twitter. He's I think I have your laptop. And again, how does that happen? I don't know. It was pretty absurd.
One of the perks of being rich and famous, like Big T, you get your laptop returned if you drive off without it. Okay, we've made it through one game here. 25 minutes into the show.
I can't even see the chat. Did the chat like the story at least? If the chat liked the story, then it was worth it.
The viewership numbers are still climbing, so I think we're doing okay. More people seem to be joining than leaving, which very simple metric, but one that you do want to see on the rise. Anyway, Colorado and Atlanta. Bradley Blaylock did not serve us well last time out. You do hate the Braves, so maybe you're gonna try it again with Mr. Blaylock at 5,700. I don't think I'm going to. I do like the pitcher on the other side of this game, though. Charlie Morton does look like he'll be the highest owned pitcher on this slate. That makes me nervous, just knowing what kind of pitcher Charlie Morton is. He walks a ton of dudes. He gets in trouble. He gets blown up. But there's no denying how good this matchup is. Enormous K rates from the Rockies, basically across the board. You're an awful, awful offense, especially bad, of course, outside of Coors Field. It is really good pitching weather in Atlanta tonight. So, I mean, it's a tough pitching slate. I do think I played Sale on either 4 or all 5 of my lineups last night. I'm kind of inclined to do the same thing with Morton tonight, but I will say he's not as safe as Chris Sale, but he is, $2,600 cheaper than Sale was. And I think Morton's got a good shot at 7, 8, 9, maybe double-digit strikeouts here. So I'm on board. I see you laughing, so you must have something, some snark for you, Mangone. But what are your thoughts here about Colorado and Atlanta?
No, I made a comment in the coordinators chat, so you can check that out if you want.
Go look that up.
This is not a game.
Before I look, I think I know what this is about, and I was going to actually bring it up to you prior to the show, but yeah, that's what I figured it was. Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, it was a good comment, but
we'll keep it in the coordinators.
We'll keep that one in the coordinators chat. But I think Morton's a good play. The only thing you could argue, and we always like to talk about this, is he worth it at the ownership? I mean, the price is strong at 8-2, right? If he was like 9-9, I think I'd maybe have a different conversation about it. But I just think that the price that you're getting on it is too good to pass up. So I'm okay with playing it. I don't think it's that bad of a play. I do think you can make an argument that George Kirby is probably a stronger play at the lesser ownership, right? But I think Morton is definitely a good play here. So I like Charlie Morton. I don't like Blaylock. I just can't do it. Whatever happened last time, it wasn't for me. And let's look at the Braves ownership. I'm curious what it is. They have a huge total. It's got to be high. So I'll be out on the Braves. It's everyone's 10% or more, and another 20%. It's like I'm not playing 20% on Luke Williams. That just sounds egregious. So on this slate, the Braves are an easy fade for me at their ownership.
Snyder responded to your comment, and this is even funnier. So I couldn't stop laughing. He's. It took him 1 minute to fire back.
Jeez, that's funny.
To wrap up this game, I'm out on the Rockies bats, in on Morton. I'm not playing Blaylock here, I don't think. And then the Braves are Ozuna and Olsen and Soler. It's the same 3 guys, the power guys that I think you want from Atlanta if you are going that direction. I do think there are better ways to go in general. Oh, man. Pittsburgh and the Cubs are up next. Going to be, mid-70s, kind of similar weather a lot of places today, honestly. No real winds. Just kind of average weather here in Wrigley Field. Domingo Germán going for Pittsburgh. Hasn't pitched all that much this year. Hasn't pitched well. Obviously, pitched many years with the Yankees. Not a great arm, and I don't think he's at the best version of himself at the moment. So, good matchup. I don't see myself ending up on Germán against the Cubs. I think the Cubs stack a little bit interesting, and then Shota Imanaga keeping it going on his fantastic first year in Major League Baseball. No real signs of slowing down, and we saw his best outings of the year. Many of them come when the weather was cooler back in April, obviously, and it's cooling down a little bit now. And I do think as a fly ball pitcher, he's going to be one who it does seem like he might finish the year pretty strong here. So I do like Imanaga against the Pirates quite a bit at 9,500. I'd take Morton at the discount. I do like Morton better, but I certainly have no problem pairing the two. What are you doing with this game, man, going Cubs and Pirates?
Yeah, Imanaga is a good pitching option as well. So you have to like him. He's definitely someone that's on my radar at 9,500 against this Pirates team. The lineup is out. The lineup is Felifa, Reynolds, Gonzalez, McCutchen, Cruz, Joe, De La Cruz, Trioli, and Davis. It's a fine lineup, but we know what Imanaga can do. It's it's like, I think juiced on the under for 3.5. So got to be a good spot for Imanaga at his ownership percentage. I guess, how would you rank these three, DC? Let's rank Morton, Kirby, and Imanaga. They're like the three highest projected guys on the slate according to Saber. For me, if you include ownership, I think it's Kirby, Imanaga, and then Morton, but I don't know. What's your ranking on it?
I'm a known George Kirby kind of hater, so I'll take Kirby's last for me. But that's just the type of pitcher he is, where he's just a lower strikeout guy in general. I am looking at his matchup; it does look pretty awesome too. I think all three guys are pretty good plays.
Yeah,
and I think it falls off.
You go.
I think it falls off a lot after those three guys. I think those three pitchers are rightfully the three highest owned guys on the slate, which, obviously is not. I prefer slates where I think the ownership is wrong, right? Where people are playing guys who I don't like. That's not the case for these three guys.
Yeah, like we typically, you and I agree on that. Like we typically like slates where we can find like fades or ways to get different with it. Like I don't know. It feels like a slate where just going even with the field on these guys isn't like the worst idea, or just having small stands one way or the other, where it's like overweight on one, under on another, and call it a day. Because I think they're all in good spots and solid options, but I understand there is, risks to them all. But yeah, I do think the Cubs are worth discussing because Domingo Germán is definitely someone that can struggle. The Cubs have been hitting the ball a lot better. The problem is 75 degrees, wind is blowing slightly in. It's 5 miles an hour, not a lot. I don't hate the Cubs, but they're not a priority on this slate, right? Like they have a huge total, but they're not a priority play for me. I do like them over the Braves. Braves will be a fade for me tonight, but Cubs are definitely in play. They're going to be like a more like even with the field kind of team if I was doing like 150.
Yeah, makes sense. I heard those chat just gets better. Nuke DFS had to go. We don't need the negative mojo here in the chat and complaining about everything we say while you're still here watching the show. It's a great big world out there. And frankly, if you don't got anything better to do than watch this free show while insulting it in the chat, you need to, I think, reevaluate some of your decisions you're making. I know you can't hear this anymore in Nuke DFS, but yeah, there you go. I should have told you that before I banned you. But he's gone, not coming back. Not even the timeout man going. I just get him out of here. You can. I
wish I knew what he said.
You can apply. Call up DM Kevin Fallick, and maybe he can get you back in the good graces of RPS. All right, let's get to the next game on the slate. Cleveland.
If he DMs me and he gives a sincere apology, I'll get him back. But I doubt he's that guy. I'll say that.
Yeah, all right. Cleveland and Kansas City are up next. This one in KC. Weather did switch a little bit from the last couple of games. A little bit warmer. Some winds blowing out, so should play reasonably hitter friendly here in Kansas City. Seth Lugo going for the Royals. He continues to pitch pretty well, coming off a really good game at Houston, of all places. Tough place to pitch. Good lineup. Certainly delivered there with 9 strikeouts. I don't really have much interest in him, frankly, at 8,700. Looks like the field feels the same way. Sabres got him at 1% owned. So, not projecting well in this game. Safe to say for Seth Lugo. I don't like Ben Lively much either. 7K for him, coming off a rough start against Pittsburgh. I've never been a believer really in Ben Lively. And I think both offenses somewhat interesting here. Relatively high total in this one, sitting at 8.5. 4.5 of that coming on the Royals side, 4 on the Guardian side. And yeah, it's the bats here. Both sides look pretty interesting to me, and maybe a little bit contrarian as well. What are you doing though, man? Going with Cleveland and KC?
I mean, obviously a big series, right? Like these two teams are fighting for the division, and they're going to use all their guys, right? If they need to use big bullpen guys, they're going to use them if they need to. So seems like an easy stay away for me. I don't like Lively. I don't like Lugo. I don't like targeting the Cleveland Guardians ever. That Royals lineup too, like they're grinding really hard on that waiver wire to get a good team going. Like Tommy Pham in that one hole there. They got Robbie Grossman. Like they're trying to make a push, which I got to give them a little bit of credit. So I think this is a better game when it comes to just like watching, right? And if you're going to sit down with Grandpa and watch it.
Let me stop you right there, Megan. There's no way you're watching this game.
No, I'm not watching it. But if you're going to sit down and like watch like a non-fantasy game, like
to be clear, though, you're not watching any baseball tonight, man. Going, it's okay to admit it. You're not putting on the baseball games. Watching 8 baseball games today. I know.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if I am or not. I don't know if maybe there's a chance. There's a chance I put on Mets or Yankees, but that's it. Nothing crazy. Like as background noise. I'm not seeking out a game. I'll say that. You are 100% right. I will give you that for sure. And again, fun baseball game. If going to the ballpark tonight, this would be one of the ones to watch, but not one I'm trying to play in fantasy. I'll say that.
I think that's fair. A little higher on the offenses here than you. Yeah, it was on the premium show yesterday with Steve. I admit to playing the Guardians too much and I might fall victim to it once again. But yeah, I think there are better spots overall. We keep it moving.
I'll have you know, DC. When I was at Big T's, we gave his grandpa one TV and we watched Reds and A's, and instead of watching college football, and on a Saturday. So we had a Reds and A's game on that was it was a fun one, actually, surprisingly. It was 7-1, then 6-1, then it was 7-6, then it was 10-9. It was a crazy one. So you never know what I'm gonna watch, DC.
How many times did you look over at that TV and be like, man, I wish there was that college football game that I'm now checking like the score on my app, because I want to follow it, but I can't see what's happening. Could be on over that. That would have happened a few times to me. It's just
I forget.
At this point in the year, we've watched so much baseball that getting the football is just such like a different change, where it's like, man, it's just a little bit more entertaining to watch at this point.
I'm definitely team watch football over baseball. Except that once October hits, the daytime baseball is the best. I'm actually super excited for those slates when we get those.
Those are awesome, and yeah, I mean the baseball watching. I'm always super excited for baseball. In April and May, and now we get to September, and it's like, okay, I've watched like hundreds of hours of baseball. I'm ready to get some pigskin out there. So. Yeah. Totally get it. Let's get to St. Louis and Milwaukee, though. Sonny Gray, Colin Rea. Gray, another one of the high-priced pitchers. Looks like he'll come in a little bit lower owned. Sabres got him as the 5th highest projected ownership, around 15 to 20% on Sonny Gray. 9,700. He's had a good season. I don't think not a lot of like true ceiling games from Gray. He's got quite a few in like the 23 to 30 range, right? Like good games for sure, where you're happy to have him, but not a lot of slate busters. And that's kind of how I see him here. I do think he probably pitches well. I think he's pretty safe against Milwaukee, even though they have been swinging good bats. But I don't think he has the upside to match Morton, Kirby, and Imanaga. So I do think ownership has it right in this case, a little bit lower myself, as well as the field on Sonny Gray. And then Colin Rea going for Milwaukee. Got to give him credit. He's pitched well, too, and is going to give you close to 100 pitches basically every time out. A lot of low strikeout rates, though, in the Cardinals lineup, which has kind of been a trend as their lineup has, morphed here in the second half of the year. So I don't think I'm on Colin Rea here. I think actually the Cardinals bats as a contrarian stack look interesting to me. I think I'm less in on this game, though, than in the last one for sure. I prefer both those offenses, Guardians and Royals, to St. Louis and Milwaukee, and I'm not super high on either of these pitchers. So this one is one that I'm not going to be playing a ton of. What about you, Mango?
I know the people were complaining that we talked a lot about football. This could just be a cross-off game for me. Like, I don't even want Sonny Gray against the Brewers. Like, that just seems unnecessary to me. I mean, yeah, if it's like a leverage play and you always play the Brewers in these spots, I get it. But other than that, I'm fading this one.
I think he's saying it was painful to have baseball on over football on the grandpa's TV. I think he's on our side. So yeah,
I would rather watch football. Oh, yeah, it's always football. Football over everything.
It's the best way. Watching on TV combined with the DFS, but I'm with you there.
Yeah.
Yankees and the Texas Rangers are up next. Nathan Eovaldi going for the Rangers, coming off a monster game, but again, it was against those White Sox. 38 DraftKings points in that one. I remember that slate. I thought he was a pretty easy play then. Not the case here, obviously, going up against the Yankees juggernaut lineup. Eovaldi is a good enough pitcher where he could, you can navigate Soto and Judge. You can have certainly a strong game against the Yankees, and there certainly wouldn't be the most shocking thing ever for Eovaldi to deliver here. Sabre does have him projected under 10% owned, so I don't know. Curious to hear your thoughts on him. I do think at that number, maybe you could make the case for it. And then Marcus Stroman going for the Yankees. He's just a pitcher I really don't play that much at his ceiling. I know he put up 20 last time out, but I mean, you could scroll through the game log, and that's, he's got a ceiling of like 23 fantasy points, which again, you would certainly take at that $6,600 price tag. This is a Rangers lineup that is without Corey Seager. They put him on the injured list today. It is kind of a dead Rangers team. So I do get it from that perspective. But, dead as in the team is not going anywhere. But, Wyatt Langford with the walk-off grand slam, I believe, yesterday. Obviously, the individual players, most of them anyway, Adolis Garcia, I don't know. But some, the rest of them are still playing for your own stats. It's kind of the weird thing about baseball is like, it's like in a lot of ways, a individual game wrapped up in a team context where it's like ultimately it's pitcher versus hitter, right? And everyone else is kind of background noise outside of those individual matchups that happen throughout the game. Tangent there for sure, but I guess to say that I still do think even on these dead teams, the individual hitters are still up there, trying to be pros and make a living and all that. So for that reason, yeah, I don't think I'm going to do the Stroman thing at 6,600. Looks like, yeah, he'll be low on too. So if you do it, you will get a nice discount on him if that's your thing, but probably not for me. Anyway, Megan, what are you doing with Yankees and Rangers here?
Yeah, this is a tough one too, because if all these, he's definitely really interesting in tournaments. Like, at his price at 9,300, he's just going to be like 5% or lower. No one wants to play him against the Yankees. It's the Yankees out of Yankee Stadium, keep in mind. I think he's really interesting in tournaments, so he'll be in my pool to consider there.
Yeah.
I don't think Texas is crazy. I mean, look at the price tags on these guys, right? Josh Smith is 4K. Wyatt Langford, 3.8. Nathaniel Lowe, 3.6. Adolis Garcia, 4.4. Josh Young, 3.9. Jonah Heim, 3.6. And then you got the punts down at the bottom in the outfield. This is a really, really nice lineup when it comes to salary saving. So if you need the salary saving to grab
it is in theory. In practice, the Rangers have never come through.
But that's why I think it's better for mini stacks. Not as much as the 5-man, but what's wrong with a Josh Smith, Wyatt Langford 2-man? That's how I would handle it.
100% agree with you there. I'd even throw in Nathaniel Lowe, 1, 2, 3, and then just cut it off there, right? Yeah.
I'm with you. I don't want to sit here and 5-man them, but I do think that you can make a case for that because, again, there's top-end arms that we want to spend up on. There's an offense in a second that I'm going to want to play and try to get up to, so I definitely want to try to get exposure to them. I'm sure we're talking about the same team, but, I think Texas, the minis are definitely intriguing. And then Yankees could go off at any time. I don't need them here in this spot though. Like they're just expensive. I'd rather just play the Dodgers over them, right? We can just get right to the Dodgers. Like I'd rather play them over the Yankees. And I know you can make the ownership argument, but if the Dodgers, aren't on the winner and it's the Yankees instead, I'm okay. Like I'll move on to tomorrow and we'll play some NFL Showdown.
The truth is, this is a fair question. How can you have like a lighter the other day and not like Eovaldi? Well, part of it was lighter was like literally like 2% owned. But when I did see Eovaldi's ownership there at what we think 5 to 10%, something like that, I like Eovaldi too at that low number. It looks like the Yankees are going to be super low owned too. I mean, Sabres got Aaron Judge, Juan Soto, both sub 5%. I mean, that have to be good plays at that number, right?
Do you believe it though? Like 5%? Maybe. Like, do you believe there'll be 5?
Oh, that's fair. Not really, because I would have thought, they would have got up to 10, and maybe they will. So I'll say too. Well, I feel like I don't know. NFL ownership projections are like way closer in general to what you actually get sometimes than MLB. I don't know if you think that's true as well, but
I don't totally buy it, but I'll say this: like, if you told me that, like, if we want to have that conversation,
listen, if the cards flip over and I've got Aaron Judge at the 3.57% that Sabre projects,
I'm happy.
That's a good play. I don't care who he's facing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean the argument for it being that way is if you look at the slate, like you have one offense that everyone's going to want to play in the Dodgers, right? Like just everyone's going to want to get to them. And when you look at I'm trying to make the argument for why that ownership makes sense. If you look at the pitching and just the pitching alone on the slate, well, where's all the ownership going? It's going to 8.2K Charlie Morton, 9.5 in the Nog. Like there's no salary.
Yeah, I mean, so far we're like, we like all the expensive bats and all the expensive pitchers. Well, okay, something has to give. Yeah,
correct. That's why I'm trying to we're adding some more meat to the show and trying to figure out eventually something's either going to get squeezed or you need to find ways to play other guys. That's why I mentioned the Rangers, right? Because as we've been breaking down the show, I'm like, we're running out of the salary. Like a team we talked about earlier, the Cubs. I'll probably like them a little bit more as I've noticed as we've gone on with this. But if the Yankees are going to be that ownership, great. But I definitely want to play the Dodgers over them. I'll say that.
Yeah, certainly everybody will. I do think, the numbers are right. Weirdly, I think both Eovaldi and the Yankees studs are good plays. Obviously, not going to play them on the same lineup, but individually, people are just avoiding both sides of that, which does make sense why people would do it. Good hitters and a good pitcher. People say, let's move on to the next one. So it does make sense why they would be abnormally low owned. Let's get to the Dodgers and the Angels. This one in Anaheim. Going to be hot. I'm seeing 85 degrees at game time in Angel Stadium, which is, this is a hitter's park in general. People really don't realize it, but we're going to get heat, wind blowing out. We got Griffin Canning going for the Angels. Not a very good pitcher. Terrible bullpen behind him. You mentioned wanting to play the Yankees. It's hard not to, or play the Dodgers, rather. Sorry. It's hard not to want to play the Dodgers here against Griffin Canning, and then Angels bullpen obviously led by Mr. Ohtani himself, who, clearly projects higher than Judge, but is going to be massively more popular as well. And then Bobby Miller going for the Dodgers, really, really talented pitcher who has kind of lost his way a little bit this season. Some injuries, command issues. It's been a rough ride for Bobby Miller. We sit here in early September. He's managed to throw just 44 innings on the year, on and off the injured list. And you can argue he's been unlucky. He has, by the metrics. He's got an ERA over 7 through 44 innings. This has been brutal for Bobby Miller. 1.66 whip, just giving up tons of base runners. Fastball velocity is down a little bit. It's been a rough ride for Bobby Miller. He does, of course, get a very strong matchup here against a weak-hitting Angels team, but just not sure I could do it with Bobby Miller, man, going at this point. And maybe some of these Angels bats could be a good contrarian plays. What are you doing with Angels and Dodgers here?
Yeah, I'm with you. I love both sides. Like, I think this could be a good game stack spot. Obviously going to like Ohtani, Betts, Freeman. Actually, I don't know if I love Freeman, right? It might not be the best use of my salary. He's definitely hitting the ball a little bit better, but he's definitely had a frustrating season for sure. But of course, I want Ohtani. I want to prioritize him and all these guys. And they have some value in their lineup. Gavin Lux, 3.7, who's been hitting well. Tommy Edman, Miguel Rojas, they can provide some value at the bottom that I don't totally hate. And then this Angels team, like, again, I'm not sleeping on them completely. I think that they have some good options in their lineup. I know Zach Nato's had a great year for him. I don't know. He's been like probably one of their best players. It's probably him and like Taylor Ward. I think Nolan Chanel's not the worst option. Of course, you can always pass on Anthony Rendon, but Moniak's got some power. I like O'Hoppe. I think he's always a nice catcher option that you can get to at 3.8K. So I think the Angels are kind of intriguing today. So it's mainly because of not the Angels being good. It's more Bobby Miller is trash. So I want to play this as a game stack. I think 87-degree weather. It's a good one. So I like this game.
I was laughing at Rendon. You said, yeah, you can pass on Anthony Rendon. I was thinking like the tournament I won last Monday, I hand build my 5 lineups every night.
Yeah.
And I was taking some shit, not taking some shit. When you win a tournament, you can't really take any shit because you won. But people were like, oh, you clicked in Xander Bogaerts. I'm like, I think that might have been the only time that I clicked Xander Bogaerts into one of my hand-built 5 lineups. Like, that probably happened before, but it rarely happens. And you mentioned Anthony Rendon. I'm like, I never, ever click on this dude. Like never play him. And sure enough, I click it. I don't even know what he's doing because I just never play him, right? And yes, Anthony Rendon is indeed stuck on 0 home runs. Here we sit on September 4th. He still has not gone yard, and he probably doesn't get one. I bet there's another injury coming for Rendon where he's just shut down for the year here in the next week or so. So, yeah, I don't even know why I need to be spending time on Anthony Rendon, but don't play him. I'm sure he'll maybe break his home run streak. Probably not, actually. I feel pretty good about that. But, yeah, Shanuel looks good. Neto, I think, always has upside. Taylor Ward, I like those guys a little bit against the Dodgers. I wouldn't go crazy with the full stack, I don't think, against Bobby Miller. You kind of like the who was the team we won in mini stacks of, but maybe not the full one. I think it was
the Rangers. The Rangers.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I kind of feel the same way about the Angels. So select guys in this lineup I think are good plays. I don't want to load up the boats on the Angels, but Dodgers, I mean, what are we doing here? Boynton says top 16 projected on bats on SaberSim are all Dodgers and Braves, 1 through 16 in terms of ownership. That's pretty crazy. You don't see something like that very often on a 10-game baseball slate.
I mean, it's a rough slate. Like when you just look at like the totals, right? The Dodgers and Braves clearly have the highest team totals on the slate. The next one that's like even like close to it is the Cubs. And then like after that, there's a huge drop off. So that's basically why. And I think one of the other ones is like, that's the next closest to the Cubs. And I'm just scrolling to make sure I don't miss this, but I think it's the Padres. And like, we'll talk about that, but like, are we actually excited to play the Padres in San Diego like this time of year? It's not an enticing spot. So that's why I think the 3 top offenses that are going to get owned are those 3. It's going to be Dodgers, Braves, and I guess Cubs. And again, we're looking for salary relief as well. And I mean, the Dodgers have some salary relief in their lineup, which is always nice. We don't have that lineup yet. The Braves have some in their lineup too. So it doesn't seem like you need like a salary relief team, right? Like sometimes there's just like one team that's like super cheap that like might have like a 4.5 total that gets a lot of ownership. Like it's just like the 2 best offenses have studs to spend on and value in their lineup. And that's kind of why.
Yeah. I mean, the Dodgers ownership is pretty wild. But it feels like it's one of those weird ones. Is like you look at how owned they're going to be, and it's like it feels like the fade is probably the right mathematical play. But then you're like, they're probably going to crush and just if you don't have them, you know what I mean? It feels like one of those where. I don't know.
I'm not gonna fade them, but and again, I'm gonna fade the Braves instead, so that'll be a way to maybe get different or whatever. But I'm not.
Yeah, makes sense. Just because they're chalky doesn't necessarily mean it's bad chalk, and that might be the case with the Dodgers tonight. Ohtani in particular, I just refuse to fade him. He's just too good right now when he's in a good matchup. 25% owned. I think that's fair for the spot and what he's doing at the moment. Seattle and Oakland are up next. JP Sears going for the Oakland A's. Our guy Steve Boyden convinced me on JP Sears last time out. He delivered 7 strong innings, 21.6 DraftKings points. In that one against Texas, he gets to pitch at home here against the Mariners. Obviously a strong matchup against the Mariners team that we do like to pick on in general. I don't mind Sears here at 7,700. I think he's going to be somewhat low. Yeah. I mean, Sabres got him below 5%. I think he'll be higher than that, but I like him a little bit here, Mangone. Sometimes the underdog pitcher, even in a game that is projected to be, fairly low scoring, like this one, 7.5 total, but yeah, he's a plus 120. I think Sears is a pretty solid bet to throw a good game here. I will say, was mentioned in chat as well, it's hot on the West Coast. We mentioned the Angels game. It's hotter than normal in Oakland and San Diego. And even in San Francisco, it looks like a little bit warmer than usual as well, which I guess makes sense with Oakland being warmer. So, yeah, I guess a little bit better hitting environments than you typically see on the West Coast. I still do like Sears, though. And then, Kirby, talked about him a little bit recently. I mean, just look at it's obviously overly simplistic, but you just look at the game log. 6.6 against the Angels, 3.9 against San Francisco, negative 1.6 against Detroit. Like, some bad games recently and really good matchups. He certainly has one here against the Oakland A's. I get it. But it's not like Kirby is some lock. Been much better at home than on the road, of course, like every Seattle pitcher. So I think as we go through this, I think I had Kirby ranked third between Morton, Imanaga, and Kirby originally. I think the more we talk about this, the more I feel better about that ranking. And I might end up with a share of Kirby in my 5 lineups, but probably more leaning toward a fade and going toward maybe a share of JP Sears here. What about you, Mangone? What are you doing? Seattle and Oakland.
Yeah, I mean, any pitcher against Seattle just basically, checks the box. So be sure to check for the lineup. I don't know if that'll change your opinion. They've definitely had different lineups lately. So, but Sears is definitely in play today at 7.7K. Ownership, I don't know did you recite the ownership, or if not, I wanted to pull it up because I think it's.
Yeah, no, I got it. So Kirby at 26% roughly, and then Sears, they got him below 5%. Sabre does.
And I mean, any pitcher against Seattle at below 5%, like how do we not consider?
Especially like a pretty decent pitcher, Sears is like a solid big league starter. So
yeah, like Sears isn't a clown. Like if this was, just like some awful pitcher that's not going to go like, maybe we'll go 4 innings. Like we obviously wouldn't do it, but I think it's just got to be in the conversation. It's just too low of ownership. So 770 has got to be an interesting play. And he's just a candidate that'll probably just get squeezed out because he's near that Morton, price tag. So I think he's going to play. I like Kirby too. Willing to take shots on Kirby. I wish it was in Seattle, but I think Kirby's in play. And no bats for me in this one. I don't think it's necessary to play any bats. Sure, if you want to like make a case like you played Cal Raleigh as a one-off, right, against Sears. Not going to ever tell you that's wrong because the way that man's hitting the ball. And, if you play Mr. Larry Butler or Brent Rooker or Blade at like, mini stack or something, sure, that's fine. But if you're stacking the bottom of the order of like Zach Geloff and like Jacob Wilson, you're doing something wrong. So be careful if you play any of these guys. Just play the power one-offs and that's it.
Yeah. In particular, Kirby's one of my favorite pitchers to pick off individual home run bats when he's popular, frankly, like he is most slates, just because he refuses to walk anybody. But when you play a one-off, you want a pitcher who doesn't walk anybody. You don't want your pitcher or your hitter against the chalk pitcher to be taking walks. So Kirby, he could strike you out, but most of the time you're putting the ball in play against him. And yeah, give me some power guys, Butler, Rooker, Blade. All these guys, I think, are pretty interesting one-offs against Kirby. I don't want to stack against him, but I do want to have a bat against him. I think Lawrence Butler is on paper, at least, pretty clearly the best option. Also, we haven't mentioned too many individual bats on this game, on this show, but Tristan Gray down there in the 7 hole for the A's, who do have their lineup out, third base, shortstop eligible. He's got some interesting signs. He's 2K flat, and you can play him at either position. I think he's one of the guys that maybe helps you get in, the expensive pitchers or the Otanis or Judges of the world. So Tristan Gray, one of my favorite individual value plays on this slate. Detroit and San Diego up next. A little bit warmer in San Diego than usual, especially with the humidity. Wind's blowing in, though, so it's still not going to be a prime hitting environment or anything close to that. Cater Montero going for the Detroit Tigers. You hear that? Some big storms here in Colorado. I don't know if you guys heard that, but anyway, Montero, he's pitching over his head. I do think on paper here, Mangone, the Padres make a lot of sense. Do they got everybody healthy right now? Close to it. With getting, of course, Tatis back, Arise, Profar, Machado, Cronenworth, Bogarts, Jackson Merrill, who's crushed righties down in the 7 hole. I mean, this looks like on paper a very good spot for the Padres. It still make me nervous, but I do like them quite a bit. What do we have ownership-wise on the Padres? I assume it's not too crazy.
Yeah, I have it. It's not that bad. I mean, they single
good.
digits. Yeah.
Yeah, most of these guys projected below 5%. Sign me up for that with the Padres against Cater Montero and the Tigers bullpen. And then Darvish going for San Diego has not pitched since May 29th. Through 66 pitches in a sim game against minor leaguers. So he hasn't seen game action since June 19th in any, not in the minor leagues either. It seems crazy that they would not have him go pitch a game or two in AAA. I don't know why that is, honestly. But I don't think I can do Darvish coming off of that long of a layoff without some evidence. I mean, yesterday it was a premium show, but I got on Reed Detmer's pretty good at 1% ownership against the Dodgers, partly because of the minor league dominance, but there's nothing like that for Darvish here. So I wouldn't go there myself, or won't be going there myself. Not going to Montero. I think the Tigers could be a fun contrarian stack here against the Darvish, who is clearly not the same pitcher that he once was and is coming off a long, long layoff. Tough bullpen and everything, but I wouldn't be shocked to see Darvish get blown up here and just kind of melt down. But again, it's kind of a guess as to what he's going to look like. Anyway, we'll throw it to you, man. Go Tigers and Padres.
Yeah, I just can't get behind Darvish. So Darvish is a no-go for me. And I can't even sell you on the Tigers as a contrarian stack that could just blow him up or something. Because I just don't think the leash is going to be that long on him. I'm more worried about that, and then bringing that bullpen in there. So I do believe the Padres ownership, they're a team that is, they're pricey, 5-1 for Tatis. If you look at the entire lineup, the only guy that's cheap is Mason McCoy if he's in there, which I'd assume he is, but it's not a cheap lineup anymore. Everyone's 4K and above. So they are going to be lower owned. I think against a guy like Montero, who, he's good at getting swing and misses against bad teams, not against this team, right? This is a team that it does not profile well here. So I like the Padres. I think they're a good play. I think we should consider getting exposure to them. If you told me to pick the the Padres at low ownership or the Yankees at low ownership, give me the Padres, right? That would be a stance I would take. I would just go that offense instead. So that's where I'm at. And no Tigers and no Yu Darvish for me.
Yeah. The Padres bullpen looks like they are very, very rested, and they're also very, very good in general. So I would guess that they're going to be very cautious with Yu Darvish tonight, maybe 4 or 5 innings, even if he's pitching well, and then you turn it over to the bullpen, kind of regardless of how Darvish himself is doing. So that's probably enough to take me off of Detroit as a contrarian stack and stick with the Padres for the most part in this game. Last game of the slate, Arizona and San Francisco. This one in San Francisco, going to be Hayden Birdsong going for the Giants. He's pitched all right this year in his rookie season, but certainly a tough spot for him here against a healthier Diamondbacks lineup. I do think, D-backs have come alive. I mentioned it yesterday in the show, but I think they've scored the most runs of any team in baseball on the season, which is crazy a little bit, I think, with the D-backs. And they've been crushing righties. So I think they're an interesting contrarian play against Birdsong. Zach Gallen going for Arizona. He's been still okay, but a little bit shakier than expected this year. Hasn't been as good on the road. He does, however, get a good matchup here against the Giants, who, I don't want to call them a dead team completely, but this is a team you do want to target with pitchers, specifically right-handed pitchers. So this does seem like a pretty good spot, at least on paper, for Mr. Gallen. I'm not, in general, just like a huge fan of his talent level right now. Looks like Sabres got him projected as the 4th highest owned pitcher on the slate. For me, he's behind Kirby, so I probably won't end up with Zach Gallen. I do think on paper he looks good, but I just don't trust him right now myself. Last game on the slate here, Mangum, what are you doing? Arizona, San Francisco.
Oh, yeah, this is kind of a dead game for me. Like, I get you could argue to play Gallen, but I just think he's soaking up ownership that's unnecessary.
If Giants are dead, way low owned, I would be in, but I don't think I'm going to do it at 20%.
Yes, I agree with that. I know Arizona can hit anyone. This lineup's way better against righties now than it was lefties. It's crazy how it's evolved throughout the year with obviously Marte and Walker going down. But I can't see myself playing Arizona in this ballpark right here. I just like other spots on the slate. So
I'm with you.
The only thing I could talk myself into, DC, is if we need value, and from like a mini stack perspective, like Perdomo, Peterson, Bell, like McCarthy, Haven, Smith, like some of those guys, like they do provide that value. Even a Jose Herrera at 2-2 as a catcher punt, like as the mini, sure, you could convince me on that, but that's it. I think that's where I'm at with Arizona.
Yeah, I'm with you. I made the case for the D-backs, and I think they're a reasonable play. I just don't think I'm ultimately going to end up on this team. So don't want to talk anyone off it necessarily, but not going to be for me. All right, that's all 10 games. Let's get to stacks, man. Going your favorite stack, your favorite contrarian stack.
Yeah, favorite stack is going to be the Dodgers. Favorite contrarian stack is going to be the Cubs. The Cubs qualify for that, it looks like. I think they're I don't know. Are they going to get steamed up? That was my one worry.
I mean, honestly, anything outside of the Braves and the Dodgers is going to be contrarian. So, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, give me the Cubs. I'm not a big Herman fan. I think they can get to him good.
I like that call. I'll try the Padres again tonight, getting healthy. I think this team could be ready for a surge here. They'll be locked in against a Tigers team that maybe is less so. So, I do like the Padres to come through tonight. Reasonable prices for the most part with those guys. And in contrarian stack, go with the Angels against Bobby Miller, who I don't trust. Maybe not the full stack, but that 1 through 3, like we talked about, Ward, Neto, Shanwell, I think makes a lot of sense for the Angels. Honestly, tough slate overall. I think it's a little bit hard to get different on the slate in a way that you feel good about, at least from what I'm looking at. Pitching, Mangone, your most important pitcher tonight.
If you're going to get different with your bats, you're definitely going to get a little uncomfortable. And I like the Angels call, so I'm with you on that. Pitching wise, let's see. My number one pitcher would be, I'll go with Kirby as the number one option, and then the contrarian one. We'll go with Tanner Houck as the contrarian option. So there you go.
I think JP Sears is going to be one of the stands I make tonight. Hopefully comes in as low as Saber thinks he will. One thing is fun, they do update their ownership while we're on air here. It still hasn't budged. They've moved some numbers around. They've still got Sears below 5%. So hopefully we'll get a low number with JP Sears. Like him quite a bit, frankly, at that low number. Home run call, Mangone. Who's going yard?
Yeah, going yard will go with, I feel dumb giving Ohtani. So let's go with a value. We'll go with Gavin Lux. Gavin Lux has been hitting the ball better. We'll get a value on the Dodgers that you should prioritize at second base. So Gavin Lux will be my home run call.
I'll go with Jackson Merrill, been one of my more profitable players this year in general. Down on the 7 hole, I think he'll get overlooked a little bit in that Padres lineup. He's still got 6 good hitters in front of him. I think he'll get his chances. And on good lineups, which I do feel like the Padres have tonight, I'm not as concerned about the low batting order for Jackson Merrill, who will be my home run call. Finally, we'll wrap it up. Your favorite overall hitter on the slate.
Yeah, I'm not going to say Ohtani because that sounds egregious. So we'll go with Ian Happ. I think he's a good, he's expensive, but just point per dollar wise, I think he's one of the best outfielders on the slate. So we'll go with Ian Happ.
I like the Ian Happ call, certainly. I go with I'll go off the board here a little bit. Give me Lars Nootbaar, 3,400 outfielder against Colin Rea. Will be super low owned. I think I'm going to be eating the chalk at pitching a lot on this slate outside of Sears, so I need to get different somewhere. So we'll go with Lars Nootbaar for that. That'll do it for this show. Somehow went overtime. I guess maybe it was the 20 minutes that we spent talking about football. Sorry, Nuke guy, that you weren't here to watch a full baseball show after we talked some NFL. Sorry to keep you late, man, going. I know those 11 minutes you had big plans for with another best ball draft, but yeah, that'll do it for us. No baseball show tomorrow with the kickoff of NFL season. But we will be back here, of course, on Friday, premium edition for Friday Night Baseball. So that'll do it for this show. He's Travis Mangone. I'm DC, and we're out of here.